Pokemon has had a truckload of games, well over 100 of them. Whenever someone mentions Pokemon, most people instantly think of Pokemon Ruby, Soul Silver, Black and White, sometimes even Sun or Moon, Sword and Shield, or even Scarlet and Violet. But that's not the case with me. Whenever someone says Pokemon, I instantly think of the Pokemon Coliseum and Pokepark franchises. Why? I don't know. Those are the first games I ever played before I got my hands on Pokemon Blue. I also think Pokepark is criminally underrated, for whatever reason. Yeah, Pokepark had a really short run back in the early 2010s, and for whatever reason, Nintendo made 2 Pokepark games and then dropped the franchise out of the blue. Literally no warning, just bailed on it and sealed it alongside Donkey Kong 3 in Nintendo's vault of forgotten games. Which, why, Nintendo? Why did you seal this gem of my Pokemon childhood away? It was so good! Anyway, these games are widely remembered as classics of the early 2010s era, well, at least to the people who remember them. It's like in the late 2000s, Pokemon said, "Yo, let's play Pokemon RPGs!" And they did, and forgot about them entirely. The Pokemon Company hasn't even referenced Pokepark one time since Pokepark 2 came out back in 2012 or something like that, 2011, somewhere around there. They never talk about it. It's almost like these games just never existed at all. But they do. They do exist purely on the Wii. They've never gotten a port onto another console, and they haven't even been mentioned once. Now, recently, I replayed both Pokeparks, and I had a blast playing them. Then I got to wondering, what the heck happened? Nintendo had a pretty solid formula going on here, so why'd they suddenly dump this franchise out of freaking nowhere? Well, today, I guess we're here to uncover the mystery and talk about it. What happened to Pokepark? Did it just get too stale? Was it too boring? Or did the Pokemon Company just have no more interest in it after Pokepark 2 flopped? Let's find out. Pokepark Wii Pikachu's Adventure came out in 2009 in Japan and made its way to the States in 2010. This game was the game that started all of the Pokepark hoopla. This game is basically Pikachu and his friends, Piplup, Charmander, and Chikorita, having a grand old time running around and chasing each other around. Then, all of a sudden, Mew appears, opens up a big hole in the floor, leading to Pokepark, and Piplup, being the clumsy boy he is, crashes into the friends, making Pikachu tumble into the hole. Charmander, Piplup, and Chikorita, being the good friends they are, jump into the hole after Pikachu. And that's where this journey starts. Mew appears again and reveals to Pikachu that the Sky Prism, which protected Pokepark, has shattered, and the pieces have scattered all over Pokepark. And without the prism, the Sky Pavilion could fall from the sky and onto Pokepark. Yeah, that's kind of a big problem you got there, Mew. So, Mew wants Pikachu to gather up all 14 Sky Prism shards and help reconstruct the Sky Prism. Mew also gives Pikachu a valuable hint. Special Pokemon have a prism piece in each area. So, Pikachu is off to save Pokepark, make as many friends as possible, reunite with Charmander, Chikorita, and Piplup, and help Mew reconstruct the Sky Prism. Alrighty then. Pretty basic story, but hey, it actually works. Now, one thing I want to say real quick, Pokepark is freaking huge. And I mean huge. Pikachu starts off in the Meadow Zone, but there's also the Beach Zone, the Iceberg Zone, the Cavern Zone, the Lava Zone, the Haunted Zone, the Granite Zone, the Flower Zone, and last but certainly not least, the Sky Pavilion. Yeah, there are 9 areas or zones, whatever you want to call them. That is a lot of ground to cover. Way more than I ever remembered or expected. These areas are all based on different nature themes and Pokemon aesthetics, so it's really rather interesting to go through all of them, make as many friends as possible. These areas also will contain 1 or 2 pieces of the Shattered Sky Prism, and the way that you obtain the shards is that you need to play and beat the area's attraction. What's an attraction? It's a fancy pants word for minigame. Each attraction will be different depending on what area you're in, and you have to beat the attraction to obtain the shard pieces from the main Pokemon leader of the area. But it's not that simple. You see, like I said before, in this game, you gotta make some buddies, you know, some friendos, amigos, buddy old pals, whatever you want to call them. Because playing as just Pikachu in some of these attraction minigames isn't gonna cut it. You need some Pokemon that are actually skilled at the attraction, and they can get, you know, a better score. So, basically, you gotta run around the areas and make some friends. Go up to other Pokemon, chat with them, and they'll offer up either a game of chase, where you just chase the Pokemon around and tackle them. Ouch. They'll probably challenge you to a battle where you can either tackle them, use Thunderbolt, or even use Iron Tail to take them down. They'll probably ask for a quick game of hide and seek, which it's just hide and seek, but Pokemon. And last but not least, they'll probably ask you to do a quiz, which, come on, bro, I already dealt with pop quizzes in school. Please don't make me deal with them again. Anyway, complete one of these minigames and boom, they'll be your friend. Very rarely, they'll have to have you do an odd quest where you get a special berry, or in Bidoo's case, at least to the extent that I remember, get some sticks to build up their dam and be their friend. This is where the game's core resides, making friends to advance through the area because some of these Pokemon have skills that Pikachu just lacks. Like I said before, playing as just Pikachu in some of these attractions just isn't gonna work. There's also some RPG elements going on here, with berries being the official money system here. There's a bit of a level up system here. You can train up your dash, HP, you get the idea. You'll learn to upgrade them from Electabuzz, Ponyta, Bibarel, and Primeape. This will help Pikachu battle other Pokemon easier and get around Pokepark a lot easier. So it's well worth investing in. So yeah, those are the basics. So why did Pokepark Wii Pikachu's Adventure flop? Now, there are a couple things that pop into my head. One thing I will say is that this game is kind of weak in a few of its areas. The biggest thing that I noticed is that if you're not into the vibe of playing as Pikachu, running amok in the Pokepark area, making friends left and right, playing the attractions and trying to beat the high score, trying to find these prism pieces, and just running around, you're gonna get bored pretty dang quick. After you beat 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 areas in Pokepark, you realize it's just the same thing over and over and over and over again. You explore for a bit, make a few friends, beat the attraction boss Pokemon, get the Sky Prism shard piece, and boogie on over to the next area that's waiting for Pikachu. Now, you'd expect the next area to have its own unique challenges, right? Like maybe some parkour areas to get past. Maybe fight like a guard-type Pokemon. You know, something like that. Something to get past to go to the next part. Nope, that's just not the case with Pokepark. You walk into the next area, there's new Pokemon just vibing, a new attraction, and you just walk around as Pikachu with nothing stopping you. This is arguably the biggest problem with Pokepark, and it's kind of what held the game back from being mad addicting in my opinion. The overall lack of differences in this game is a little bit crazy. It's like, we're just doing the same thing 9 times in a row, bro. Another reason this game could have flopped is that the marketing for this game really wasn't that good. In fact, I didn't even know if there was an ad for the game before I googled it. And I'm just gonna say this, that ad for Pokepark Wii Pikachu's Adventure is just so terrible. Like, it's so freaking boring to watch, and they use some of the most boring clips from the game that they could have picked. Overall, there was only one ad for Pokepark, at least that I could find, and this advertisement was just so mind-numbingly boring and unappealing, it didn't make me want to play the game. It made me want to yawn and go take a nap. So yeah, the marketing for this game sucked, and it could have been better. Also, there was an insane amount of Pokemon games being released in 2010, including Pokemon Heart Gold Soul Silver, Pokemon Black and White, Pokemon Ranger, Guardian Signs, and many others. Yeah, no wonder Pokepark kind of flew under the radar back then. It was competing with Pokemon Black and White and Heart Gold Soul Silver, which are some of the most infamous Pokemon games and one of the most infamous Pokemon remasters ever made. No way Pokepark even stood a remote chance at making it past these big boys. I mean, it sold 1.25 million copies, which, hey, not bad at all, but for a Pokemon game, it's not great, but still rather decent, actually. Also, I'm pretty sure a lot of people sadly just got really bored with the game really quickly. I think that's literally it. If this game doesn't pass your idea of fun, then it's gonna be boring and you're just not gonna want to play it. Now we've talked about Pokepark Wii Pikachu's Adventure, we can talk about my favorite Pokepark game, Pokepark 2, Wonders Beyond. Pokepark 2 Wonders Beyond was released in 2011, almost a year to the date exactly after Pokepark Wii Pikachu's Adventure. Like, Creatures Inc. wasted absolutely zero time making the sequel, just hopped into it with both feet. This game follows Pikachu and his Unova region buddies, Oshawott, Snivy, and Tepig as they try to stop the rise of Wish Park. What the heck is Wish Park, you ask? Well, it's this park that's entirely separate from Pokepark by some other Pokemon who want Wish Park to be the main area to hang out. However, when they first explore Wish Park, they being Pikachu and Piplup, they realize that this park isn't all that great and the leaders of the attractions are hypnotizing their guests to stay and play forever in Wish Park. Oshawott thankfully comes to the rescue, like the goat he is, and helps Pikachu and Piplup attempt to escape, only for Piplup to sacrifice himself, pushing Pikachu and Oshawott through the portal out of Wish Park. Now, Pikachu not only has to stop Wish Park from getting on the rise, but he also has to rescue his best friend Piplup. Later on, Pikachu and Co. will find out that in order to save the Pokemon from Wish Park, they gotta ring a bell to break the control of the hypnotized Pokemon. So yeah, instead of collecting crystals to save the Sky Pavilion from falling down onto Pokepark, you're ringing bells. Awesome! The friends mechanic is still there. You make friends via either a game of chase, a battle, a game of hide and seek, a quiz, or giving them something random. Not a whole lot has changed there. It feels like they just copy-pasted from Pokepark Wii Pikachu's Adventure. However, making friends in each of the 4 areas is especially important because to get to Wish Park, you gotta open up these portals with something known as friend energy, obtained by making friends. But when you try to open a poster in the Arbor area, you can't just summon your friends in from the Cove area. No. You gotta make friends in the Arbor area itself so you can open up the poster with those friends instead. Which, hey, not a bad touch. It's a good way to make sure you don't skip out on the game too much. Anyway, one thing I will instantly jump to is that the marketing for this game was top tier. I genuinely love the marketing here. It's amazing and I still sometimes listen to it to this day. That's how amazing those commercials are and were back in the day. Sadly, those commercials weren't enough to save it. And I mean, Pokepark 2 really tried. They tried so hard. They really did try to make Pokepark 2 good and save this franchise. But it completely flopped. I guess people weren't willing to give Pokepark another chance, and to me, that was an insane bummer. Anyway, what did this game do differently? Well, first things first, Pikachu isn't the only playable character here. You have Oshawott who can swim, Snivy who runs fast, and Tepig who breaks through walls. Man, I wish I could break through walls. Each of these partner Pokemon are very unique and play very differently from each other. Oshawott helps you traverse the watery areas, Snivy helps you get around Pokepark way faster, and Tepig is just being Tepig breaking through walls, and being adorable while he does it. Pikachu is also just, well, Pikachu. He's the default option. Not just that, but with these new partners, there's a new little bit of a quirk to combat here. The type weaknesses. The type weaknesses is in full effect here. If you got a fire type knocking on your door, you want Oshawott. You got an electric type? Don't pick Oshawott. Go with Pikachu, Snivy, or Tepig instead. You know, that kind of thing. Also, the battle system changed a little bit with more lenient health bars, but they also changed up the dash. They wanted to give you a couple more combo options than you had in Pikachu's Adventure, I guess. However, the level up system kinda messes with the new combat. The level up system is practically the same as before, except you have Raichu training Pikachu, Dewott training Oshawott, Servine training Snivy, Pignite training Tepig, Audino training your HP, and Blitzel training your agility. Pay them whatever berries you need and level up. The only problem here is that instead of just Pikachu, you have 3 other partners to level up, which you can imagine costs a lot of berries. So you better be gathering up them berries like you got bills to pay, or else you're gonna be kinda low in skill level. I thought I was just being really bad at the game and not getting enough berries, but turns out I was trying to level up 3 partners all at the same time, so no wonder I was running out of berries. It's still mad expensive though. Anyway, another thing that has changed is the attractions. In Pokepark 1, there were a whopping 14 attractions. But in Pokepark 2, there are only 4 attractions. They more than halved the amount of attractions from the original Pokepark. Anyway, the attractions are Cake Contraption, Dance Inferno, Power Bash, and Flight of Fancy. The Flight of Fancy attraction for some reason scared me to death when I was a kid, but whatever. These attractions are fun and all, and while sure nothing will beat Venusaur's Vine Swing, Tangro's Swing Along, and Salamance's Air Ace, I found myself enjoying Cake Contraction and Power Bash quite a bit. They were genuinely really fun to play, and while sure the boss battles that you do in terms of the story were also really fun, such as destroying Chandeler's stuff, I enjoyed shooting cakes more than fighting, to be honest. But yeah, not a whole lot changed. Sure, there's the same making friends mechanic, which is vital to the game in this case, and in the other game, but there are less attractions and less areas to explore, which in my opinion is a bit of a good thing. Because in my opinion, Pikachu's Adventures Pokepark had way too many areas and was just too freaking big and there was too much going on. That's just my opinion though. There are more instructors for the level up system, necessarily so because of the inclusion of the Unova starters, and it's overall a pretty great game that you can just chill, run amok in Pokepark, and try to save Pokepark from Wish Park's invasion. I will also say that there's a lot that you can still do post-game. Make more friends that you might have missed, discover the legendary Pokemon, and a lot more. And to be honest, it's a lot of fun. But sadly, this game fell completely off to the side and not a lot of people liked it. And I mean fair. If you don't like the idea of running around and being chill, you won't like this game series, especially Pokepark 2, which more heavily relies on those themes than the first one. I love the Pokepark games, my favorite one being the second one, because it was a good improvement to the first one, but sadly, it just was not even close to enough. But that doesn't answer the question of why did Pokepark 2 fly so heavily under the radar, even though it had some really good banger commercials. Well, when you consider the amount of Pokemon games that were being released in 2012, like 2010, you would understand why Pokepark 2 kind of fell off to the side. There was Pokemon Conquest, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity, Pokemon Black and White 2, and Pokemon Dream Radar. Yeah! No kidding, Pokepark 2 was kind of forgotten in between the abundance of Pokemon releases. There were many more, but those were like the main ones that I remember around that time. And that's kind of where we are today. Pokepark hasn't been touched since 2012 by the Pokemon Company. It's never been mentioned, referenced, no HD remakes, not even a single port. Zip, zero, nada. These two games are practically ghosts that were dumped by the Pokemon Company. Except for fan rumors that there was gonna be a Pokepark 3. Now, for whatever reason, in 2018, people were really talking about Pokepark more than usual, and it turns out there was a rumor going around that Pokepark 3 was coming out. There were rumored titles like Pokepark 3 Dreamers Archipelago or Pokepark 3 Dreamscape. Something like that. The rumors are that Pokepark 3 was announced, and like a week after or a month after it was announced, it was immediately canceled, or so I hear. Now, when I looked into this, I saw so much scattered information. Some people say it was never announced, that it was a fan making some crazy rumor to start up the rumor mill, and others say it was never canceled and it's still in development. Now, I have no idea what the heck happened to Pokepark 3, but I could not find one piece of solid information saying that Pokepark 3 was even a thought on Pokemon's radar. I couldn't find an announcement, no mention of it in an official statement, nada, nothing. From what I could gather from this crazy hoopla, people in 2018 wanted a Pokepark 3 and it never came into play. Sure, there are some amazing fan-made concepts, but sadly not official, and considering Pokepark has been dormant for almost 13 years, I doubt they're gonna do anything with it, sadly enough. And yeah, that's where we have it. I was kind of hoping Pokemon would give it another chance, and I mean, hey, I would play it, I would stream it, I would definitely make content out of it and have a good time playing it, but I just don't think it's in the deck of cards for the future. Sadly, I think Pokepark is doomed to be imprisoned on the Wii for all eternity unless the Pokemon Company decides to port it or make an HD remake. Make it happen, Pokemon. Now, my final thoughts on Pokepark. I love these games. They are absolutely underrated gems of the Pokemon community, and they definitely deserve more love. Pikachu's Adventure was an amazing game. It was just too big and a bit overwhelming at times. And Wonders Beyond was definitely an amazing sequel, and the story was actually pretty dang decent. But I just don't think it was enough to save Pokepark. Do I think these two games are good enough to warrant a third game? Sadly, no. I just don't think they're worthy of a third title in terms of money in this economy. It's a bit of a bummer. I also think the formula is just too simple, so unless they want to take a chance and take the skeleton out of the coffin for a final round, I don't think they're going to take a chance with it and lose more money. Rest in peace, Pokepark. Thanks for making my childhood a little bit brighter. Hello everyone, thank you so much for watching this crazy video. This was actually a remake of one of my older videos, kind of like the Luigi's Mansion video was also a remake. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed me rambling about Pokepark. I really wish they would make another game of this, but I just don't think it's gonna happen. Anyway, thank you so much to my amazing thumbnail artist Lucas for, you know, making the amazing thumbnail art. It looks so freaking cute! Oh, look at this! Anyway, I hope you guys have a great time, and if you like this video and you want to see more, let me know in the comments. Anyway, I can't wait to see you all in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye-bye!